Good afternoon, good people of the snow. This is Ben from the Sawtooth Avalanche Center with your weekend update for December 15th, 2023. As a friendly reminder, these are not intended to replace your daily forecasts. They're intended to kind of set the scene for what you might find when you read the forecast in the morning. Be sure to check those before you head out. They're posted by 7 a.m. each day. All right, so here's a look at where we're at right now for today for danger. You can see our northern and western zones, Banner Summit and the Sawtooth. We're at considerable. In our eastern zone there, the Galena Summit and Eastern Mountain Zone, the danger is moderate. And then we have not yet issued danger ratings for our southern zone due to lack of snow, unfortunately. However, if you're traveling on the western side of that zone, in the Sawtooth and up into in the Soldiers and up into the South Fork of the Boise, you may find conditions that are more like the conditions we've got in the Sawtooth and Western Smoky Mountain Zone right now. Looking at how much snow we've got on the ground, down south in the Wood River Valley, we've got 0 snow on the ground, except on absolutely flat slopes. And as you climb up, you might find some as you wrap around onto colder slopes, but there's just a lot of dirt showing. And the maximum in that zone we're seeing is about a foot or a little bit more than a foot of snow. In the northern and western mountains, we've got 1.5 to 3 feet of snow on the ground, a little bit more in places along the crest of the Sawtooth on the western side of that crest. This is well below average for this time of year. Here's a little map showing percent of average for over the last 30 years. We're kind of in central Idaho there. You see a lot of yellow and orange and red. That's the 50% to 75%-ish range category. Of course, you can kind of squint at the map and see the amount of red dots all over the map. We're lucky not to be in a complete sea of red here. We're actually doing better than a lot of other places. Zooming in a little bit more gives you, these numbers are actually the percentage for each basin, and you can see we're in the low end, 40%, 40, 50, 60% in the Pioneers and into the Boulders, and then the high end is the Western Smokies and the Sawtooths, where we've got maybe 75 to 80% at the very best. That means we've got a pretty thin snowpack, and we really have not started to bury the obstacles out there yet. Here's a photo of Brooke expressing her excitement to climb up and over many more slippery rugs and how impressed she is with the snowpack that we've got here in Idaho. And here's a look at what that snow looks like. The issue that we're facing is pretty similar across our forecast area. We've got this really bad snowpack structure where we buried older snow with storms at the beginning of December. In this image, you can see a slab of snow. It's sitting on top of the weak snow underneath. And that is the story everywhere you go. Talk about a little bit more about that in a minute. Looking at what you're going to get for weather this weekend, looks like it's going to be another beautiful sunny couple of days, a little warmer than I'd like, and with a chance for hitting record high temperatures on Sunday. So we see temperatures climb towards 50 degrees in the valleys, unfortunately. And the avalanche problem that you're likely to expect. Well, we talked about it a little bit already, but it's this persistent slab problem. This persistent slab problem that we're describing in the forecast is the old snow that we had from earlier in the season that we buried at the start of December. It's a pretty common pattern around here, and the results have been fairly typical. We've seen lots of avalanches on this already, and lots of cracking and collapsing on the snowpack that continue to indicate that this weak layer is not gaining strength, and the slab weak layer combination is unstable. In the little rows there, you can see the shaded portion of the compass. That's the upper elevations, all aspects at upper elevations, and kind of the shaded aspects at middle elevations as well. This is where that snow was most widespread, the early season weak snow that were buried, and that's why this is where you're going to find this problem. As you head down to slopes where there isn't that snow at the base of the snowpack, you'll find significantly safer conditions. Unfortunately, it's not immediately apparent to your eyes if that snow is there or not. You may have to do some digging around to look for it and to find it. And you have to keep in mind that as you change aspects and as you climb, you can go from a slope that didn't have this snow and had pretty benign avalanche conditions to a slope that does have it and has pretty spooky avalanche conditions. You can also see here down at the very bottom there, I've got that little teeny tiny wet snow icon. Well, I'm not expecting to see any sort of widespread wet snow issues with temperatures hitting 50 degrees and snow in the mountains and sun on the snow. We can imagine that on steep slopes we'll see some snow getting moist during the day, and you may be able to push some small little wet loose avalanches. We'll wrap up by giving you a couple ideas about managing persistent slab problems. So it's pretty early in the season, and our patience is being requested in a couple of ways. One is that we're waiting for snowfall. It's pretty thin out there, and the access is a little tricky, and it's hard to get to a lot of the places that we'd like to go to right now. More importantly, our patience is being tested if we are finding enough snow to ski and ride. The areas where the most snow is the areas where we have this old snow underneath the snowpack. And so we're drawn to these areas because all the rocks and the logs and the trees and the stumps and everything else are covered. And the surfaces are smooth and the skiing and riding is quite good. But unfortunately, when we go there, we're also dealing with areas that have a snowpack with this really weak snow underlying that snowpack, and where we can trigger these large avalanches. Avalanches plenty big to bury a person. So when you're traveling out about in the mountains, keep in mind that this problem exists in many locations, and that it can go from not being present on the slope that you're on to being present pretty quickly. The likelihood of triggering these slides is ever so slightly decreasing with each passing day, but this is a very gradual process. It takes a lot of time, and we're really not there yet. So when you head out in the mountains, this is the primary problem you're going to be dealing with, these persistent slab avalanches. Keep it safe out there. Remember that these can break a lot wider than you might expect. You can trigger them from a distance away, and it's a good time in the season to just kind of, I'd encourage continuing to travel conservatively as you have been, and wait for things to settle out, and we'll have better skiing and riding later in the year. Thanks, guys. Take it easy. Have a good weekend.